Does the pursuit of thinness or idea of losing weight make you happy? Now, very often I ask my clients, what is that deep desire to lose weight? Why is it so strong? And very often they reply to me, well, I will only be happy if I've lost weight, or if I'm a certain size, or a certain weight on the scales, or, you know, certain dress size. That will be the only way I'm happy in my life. And I ask them a number of questions. So these are some of the questions that you can actually ask yourself, because you might be saying the same thing to yourself and thinking, well, this is the only thing that is going to make me happy, no matter what body size you are, by the way. Very often, clients will say to me, well, yeah, I was a smaller body size before, and that's when I was happy. So I do ask them to really tap into, were you really happy then? And some of them might say, yes, I really was. I was happy then. I might ask them, well, was it because you were at a lower weight then, or you had lost weight then? And they might say, yes, I remember when I lost weight, I felt really good. And I said, well, do you remember how long it lasted? And very, very commonly people will say, yeah, no, initially I did feel good, because you're getting all these comments and people were saying, oh, you look great and all of this. So I was like, okay, so it's from that external validation that you were getting these comments. And how long did that last? And very often people will say, well, it didn't last that long, because soon after I then wanted to lose more weight. I wasn't satisfied with that. Some people would just clean out say, actually no, because I wanted to be smaller. I just wanted to be smaller all the time. So I wasn't really happy then. And for some people, yeah, they were actually happy at a certain time in their life. But when we go back and reflect on that, it might be because they were in a great relationship, or they had a great job and they were very happy about how other things were going in their life. But over the time, it become equated with their body size. When they thought about it, it wasn't really. So very often, it's not bringing true happiness when you dig deep. So it's worth asking yourself those questions. If it's not really bringing happiness, why are we so driven to losing the weight, shrinking our body size? And what can we do to welcome true happiness into our life? So first of all, let's look at some of the reasons why we are driven, because understanding those reasons can really help with moving forward. The first reason is often because in society, this diet culture society that we live in, smaller bodies equals better. We're told to be smaller and thinner, it's better. Our diet culture is everywhere. From when we are young, we grow up with it. If you think about weight stigma in society, it's literally everywhere. From, you might have watched Disney films when you were younger. Villains in the film were often in the bigger bodied. The people who were who weren't the villains were smaller bodied people. So from a young age, we very subconsciously taught that thin is good and bigger is not good. When we're growing up with our caregivers in our family home, very often there's still that fat phobia that's not been perhaps addressed by our caregiver. We go to school, same thing, and we're constantly told, even by medical professionals, go in with a complaint and you're in a larger body, often told to address your weight before even being talked about what's going on with your health condition. There is that feeling that if you're not in that smaller body, you're going to be judged, that feeling of being rejected, that feeling of not being loved as well, all connected with that. Whatever size body you're in, can be that internalized fat phobia within ourselves where you have that fear of gaining weight. The second reason is often because many people have this stress going on in their life, a lot of stress, a lot of overwhelm, there's lots going on, and somehow focusing on losing weight and getting to a certain size feels like something that they can control and focus on, though very often we know that this is not something we can control, because actually there are so many different things going on within our body that we don't actually have complete control of our body size. In this case, if that's something that's really driving you, it's about just noticing that and noticing what else is going on in your life that perhaps you're trying to block out, avoid, and not focus on instead, just trying to acknowledge that and have that compassion for yourself, and also have compassion for yourself that you're living in this diet culture, weight stigma society. So it is really hard questioning diet culture stuff that comes up, weight stigma. Don't just accept it as it is. 1 and 2, really question what's going on in your life and see if you can address those things rather than throwing every focus into your shrinking your body size. The third one is really about how in our culture thinness is valued over everything else. It's like morally seen as better to be thinner because you're seen as more healthy, which we know that actually plenty of thin people who are very unhealthy, and there are plenty of people in bigger bodies who are also very healthy. So it's not always the case, even though we're told it is. We often put people losing weight or thin people up on a pedestal, don't we? We magnify their value and really admire it. Yet when we do that, what we're doing is making ourselves feel that we're not enough, that we'll never be there, and comparing. But one of the things that's really important to do is to think about actually when you look back in your life, say you're near your deathbed, sounds a bit grim, but looking back, what would you like to have written on your gravestone? Would you want it to say, so-and-so was always thin her whole life? Is it really that thing that we need to admire? Or are there other things in your life that you can focus on? What would you really like to be known for? What would your purpose be at the end of your life? What would it have been? And the fourth thing is really about getting validation from others. It's very easy to be seduced by that validation, as I mentioned earlier. You know, when you get comments about, oh, you look great and all of that, you can confuse that often for feeling happy and great. You can bring you a bit of a sense of euphoria perhaps, but it's often not long lasting. It's often very short lived. And again, that's about getting validated from other people. So external validation, and it's really important to almost bring that acceptance of yourself, because that is what's key going forward, not having to rely on external validation. And it's very often that others that are commenting on your weight and your body often have a problem or an issue with that themselves. So there are a number of reasons why you could be really in pursuit of that thinness. It's really interesting for you to try and just think about, do any of those apply to me? And just without judgment, it's not about judging yourself about that. It's about, that's really interesting. I wonder if that's applying to me. Oh yes, that could well be. And so what do we want to do to welcome true happiness, really? Well, first of all, we want to work on body acceptance. Doesn't mean giving up on your body. It's about respecting your body. When you respect it, and you have that acceptance of it, you're much more likely to look after it properly. It's about not letting your relationship with food and your body stop you from doing the things that you want to do. Are not going out, for example, seeing friends, going to parties, going swimming, if you're going on holiday, buying new clothes, until you are thin. This is stopping you from getting on with your life. Do expose yourself to the things that bring you joy and make you happy. And think about your purpose in life and your fulfillment. I'm pretty sure that you'd agree with me that you won't be getting your fulfillment from trying to diet and in that pursuit of thinness, restricting your food and because it basically makes you miserable along the way. Never mind the fact that it doesn't really lead to true happiness. So I hope that's just given you some food for thought today. Do let me know if you have anything. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this, and what are you going to start doing today that this pursuit of thinness has been holding you back from doing. Have a great week, everybody, and take care of yourselves.